A girl, around 6 years old, running around the playground with another girl, just a year younger than her. Her mother called her to go home, and so the girl ran up to her friend, only to say goodbye. The word decided to remain on her tongue, but instead came a sudden explosion of colors: love, friendship, affection, and a kiss on her cheek. This girl, who frantically panicked about the kiss, what should be normal and considered innocent, was me. My American friend took it surprisingly well. She probably interpreted it as an ordinary goodbye. However, for an Asian 6-year-old introvert who was just fresh off the boat trying to adjust to the culture of the States, kissing someone of the same gender, even on the cheek, was something extraordinary and extremely shocking to herself. I remember being overly embarrassed about it afterwards and trembling in fear, thinking about what my parents would think if they figured that I had kissed a girl. Now, of course, after several weeks or so, I got over the fact that I kissed a girl. But this one doubt, this one question in my mind lingered. Is it possible, just possible, that I like both girls and boys? Ever since I was 6 or 7, I considered myself as more of a tomboy than a girly girl. And I wore basketball t-shirts and preferred hanging around with my male classmates rather than my female ones. And my mother often told me that I wasn't being girly enough because I wasn't very tidy and I often sat with my legs wide open. As I grew older, I began to contrast myself with my elder sister, who was very girly and loved the color pink and started to wear things like makeup way earlier than I did. However, I did have long hair, and I spent my young childhood playing with Barbie dolls and still enjoy wearing nail polish and things like jewelry too. Although I wasn't necessarily attracted to any of my female friends, and I had some girly features like any other girl of my age would, from time to time, I still think about the question that I had asked myself 10 years ago. Is it possible that I like both girls and boys? And to tell you the truth, I still haven't found an answer to this question yet. In most parts of the world today, gender is categorized into two groups: women and men. And then in some places, the LGBT groups, which stand for lesbian, bi, gay, transgendered, are recognized. However, there are so many people around the world out there who just don't fit into any of these boxes. And I happen to be one of them. We are the misfits who are still questioning and trying to figure out what and who we truly are. Most of the times we are forgotten and even lost in the society because we are the minorities of gender. And from the time humans are born, they are put into boxes by their families, their religion, their culture, and even by their own bodies that they were born with. And from the first few months after birth, people are already exposed to a categorizing gender-based society. For example, if you take a look at this picture here, you can see two baby toys. One is for a girl, and the other one is for a boy. And as you can see here, it's like these baby toys assume that it is important to start gendering yourself even before your sexual organs develop. It's as if the society is saying, oh, well, you were born as a female, so you have to like the color pink. and things like diamond rings and princesses. And if you were born as a male, then you would have to like things like saws and cars and superheroes. This shows that it is already assumed by the society that gender is predetermined by sex and that it is immutable. Even before we learn how to speak and express your thoughts and feelings. And by assuming so, the society has computed people to think that having a doubt, any doubt, that your identity is not maybe the same as your biological sex, is twisted and abnormal. However, this is not true. As gender is not always the same as your biological sex, it's actually more of a fluid rather than a solid. Gender can change throughout one's life. And there are so many people out there today in the world that experience this. There are even cases where someone might feel like they're the opposite gender when they're young, and then as they get older and think about it more and more, they feel that they want to be back to their original gender again. This happens anywhere. And because gender is so fluid and fluctuant and mutable, questioning your gender is nothing wrong or odd. And because these questions and doubts may only exist in a small phase of your life, having a small thought of doubt or any doubt does not automatically make you bisexual or homosexual or give you any other label like that. However, the stigma on these people who have uncertainties and doubts that has been built into their society are causing people to become insecure, frightened, and even terrified. They become anxious thinking that the people around them might define them as gay or bi or might not even accept for who they are anymore. These people are frightened, scared to reveal that they're questioning, just questioning. The dangerous and scary thing is that these people will begin to hide their inner truth and start to live a hidden lie in their own lives. And by doing so, they experience so much stress and start to waste so much energy. This will, in some cases, lead to long-term social repercussions and even life or death consequences, such as suicide. And by now, maybe some of you are thinking, well, what does this have to do with me? I'm not gay. But this does have to do with you. In fact, it has to do with everyone in this auditorium. Our responsibilities as members of the society is to support the lost ones who don't know which gender box they belong to. And we can do this by acknowledging the fact that having a doubt in your gender identity is nothing strange or wrong. Because gender is actually a spectrum, a big spectrum of different colors and not individual checkboxes that categorize and separate the society. Unveiling my uncertainty today and to other people that I might not be 100% straight was a very frightening experience. And by doing so, I began to feel more confident about myself for some reason. I began to feel more confident because I realized that I was original and no one else was like me. And so, once the mindset of the society today begins to change and the people start to recognize the diversity and variability of gender, you will begin to see yourself as one of the many different colors and unique colors in a spectrum and see the world from a whole new perspective. So, what is your color? Each and every one of us is different, and each of every one of us has a unique and special gender identity. And we can't force ourselves to change our identities to fit into the tiny boxes that the society has provided to us today. Same-sex marriage laws are not the final destination to a better society. Because if you stop there, you'll be denying a major segment of individuals who would be rendered misunderstood. Perceiving gender as a spectrum instead of a list of checkboxes like on a survey sheet is the first step we must take on the road to building a better and safer society for the people who feel that their external appearances don't match their inner feelings. It doesn't simply just match. Because the less we differentiate ourselves from one another, the less we will discriminate ourselves from one another. Let's make a society where we no longer need to think about how we are portrayed and where everyone can be proud of the fact that they are somewhere in between the rainbow. Thank you.